This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and oh snap, it's Smackdown time. We have three really cool Android unlocked phones that are, relatively speaking, well, two of them are of the smaller screen size, a little bit more pocketable. So that means we have the Google Pixel 2 here, and behind it, the Essential Phone PH1. And then we have the OnePlus 5, also unlocked, also $500, just like the Essential Phone. So good for comparison. We're going to smack them down now. So quite a few of you asked for a smackdown between the Essential Phone PH1 and the Pixel 2 for pretty clear reasons. They're both strong Google heritage phones. One of them, the Pixel, actually is from Google, sold by Google, and the Essential Phone is by Andy Rubin's new company, and he's the father of Android. They're both unlocked phones. They're around the same physical size in terms of what fits in your pocket. The Essential Phone is less expensive. We'll talk about pricing and stuff. But then several of you also asked for me to bring in the OnePlus 5, which makes a lot of sense because it's a $500 unlocked phone, now the same price as the Essential. A lot of nice features on here. Also the Snapdragon 835 CPU, so good performance. And hey, so why not? Let's throw this one in here too. But one thing I would like to point out is this one is close to your fabulous phablet size. It's a 5.5-inch phone, and it's traditional 16:9 aspect ratio. So it's 1920 by 1080. It is an OLED screen, but it's not one of the widescreen aspect ratio phones, and thus, despite the fact that, say, the Essential Phone is a 5.7-inch display, it's physically smaller because of the different aspect ratio and the different size. So to give you an idea about what you want to carry around, I know a lot of people who find the Pixel 2 appealing, or even the Essential, they like it because it's a smaller, more pocketable phone, which isn't exactly the OnePlus 5. Both the Pixel 2, and of course its bigger brother, the Pixel 2 XL, and the Essential Phone are unlocked phones that support both GSM and CDMA. In fact, Sprint, a CDMA carrier, actually offers the Essential as a carrier locked phone too, but you can get this unlocked. CDMA means Verizon, it means Sprint, it means their offshoot smaller carriers like Virgin Mobile, all that sort of thing, and GSM. So absolutely any of the big carriers in the United States and many of the smaller ones, this is going to work. Of course, it's going to work overseas too. Now, when we bring in the OnePlus 5, this is GSM unlocked only. This does not work on Sprint, Verizon, Virgin, any of the CDMA carriers, which are more prevalent in the United States and Canada than they are, say, in Europe and Asia and all that sort of thing. So the Pixel 2 is the most expensive, $650 to $750, depending on the storage capacity that you want. So that's a pretty pricey piece, especially considering it doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles on it in terms of hardware features. Both the OnePlus 5 and the Essential Phone are $499, so a lot less expensive, and a lot of you are watching to see if there's a reason why you should be spending more of your money on the other phones. That is unless you're on Sprint or Verizon, and you're not including the OnePlus 5 anymore in that equation at all. Pixel 2 is made by Google, so obviously it's going to get OS updates the quickest, and that's nice. And for those of you particularly who are enthusiasts, you like to get your OS updates, you like to have Android Oreo now and not wait several more months, which you might have to do with both of these other phones, for example, or longer if you had a Samsung or an LG phone. And to be honest, a lot of these smaller makers try harder to get OS updates out quicker. But anyway, Oreo out of the box on your Pixel. You'll always be the first kid on the block to have the OS updates. The other two, well, Essential promises Oreo by the end of this year. I expect we should see that probably for the OnePlus 5 too as well. So a little bit longer wait there. They're all pretty clean phones. OnePlus customizes the phone the most, but they don't go overboard. But they have a couple of software features that they add on there. In terms of design and build, well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I think most people will agree that the Essential Phone is the most striking looking and probably the most expensive looking. The edge-to-edge display, the build materials, the fit and finish, all ooh la la. The OnePlus 5 gets the most durable award. It's also a very nice looking phone, but you got the metal back on it, so no worry about cracking glass. Refreshing these days as more and more phones have glass on the back. The Pixel 2 is, I think, in person, the least expensive or chic looking phone. It does have metal, but it has a plastic coating over the back section of metal, and there's a little section of glass on there too. The design is not terribly inspired. In terms of durability, that plastic finish on the back can scratch off, which is kind of a bummer. They all have Gorilla Glass 5 on the front. Of course, glass is still breakable, so there's no insurance there with any of these things. A drop to cement would be a scary thing when it comes to the glass on the front. For the horsepower and performance, these are all Snapdragon 835 machines, and you've got 4 gigs of RAM. In the Pixel, you got 4 gigs. In the Essential, you have 6 or 8 gigs in the OnePlus 5. It's available to 2 different versions there. So a little RAM win for the OnePlus for you heavy-duty multitasking types. And the Pixel 2, 64 or 128 gigs of storage. Likewise for the OnePlus 5, those 2 storage options are available. The Essential only has 128 gigs of storage, so it's kind of a storage win there. You get the Max for $499, which is sweet. And none of them has a micro SD card slot, unfortunately, so no expanding of storage. Performance on these, in terms of synthetic benchmarks and real-world use, they're some of the fastest phones that are available right now in Android land. I really didn't see any lag. They're all quite stable. They're all very fast. The benchmark numbers are very close, so yeah, it's an even contest there. When it comes to displays, well, the OnePlus 5 and the Pixel 2 use AMOLED displays. A lot of you like AMOLED displays. Let me just say, though, that the Essential phone, which has an LTPS, low temperature polysilicon, like IPS display, is really a stunning display that looks AMOLED-like. And that bezel-free design with just the rim of the bezel around the edges and the floating little camera up top just look real trick. Looks very sweet. In terms of color saturation, it holds up well against these other 2 phones. In fact, it might look a little bit jazzier than the Pixel 2, for example, and certainly a little sharper than the OnePlus 5, which is full HD resolution, lower resolution stretched across a higher screen area, 5.5 inches. In the traditional aspect ratio, it's physically a larger screen. You will get deeper, richer blacks on the OLED screens, though. Despite the fact that the Essential phone has a 1,000-to-1 contrast ratio, which is very high, it still can't beat AMOLED, or OLED as it's called. Both the Pixel 2 and the OnePlus 5 have that normal 16:9 aspect ratio, so you don't have to worry about any software enhancements to stretch the screen. The Essential phone does the widescreen thing, much like the Galaxy S8 and the LG G6 and all that sort of thing. It's the trendy new way to make a screen bigger in the diagonal measurement way without actually making a bigger phone. So not all applications are going to make use of that added widescreen real estate on the Essential phone, so you won't see much but the colored menu bar up top. In some cases, you do get to see more, like in Google Maps, and that's pretty darn cool. All of these have a fingerprint scanner. Only the OnePlus 5 has it on the most ideal location, which is on the front. So while we're talking about bezels, having bezels lets you do ergonomically delightful things and feature delightful things, like having a front fingerprint scanner on the OnePlus 5, having front-facing stereo speakers on the Pixel 2. That's pretty nice. The other 2 have fingerprint scanners on the back. They all work very well, by the way, and at least they're in sensible locations on the back of the other 2 phones. Nothing weird like the Samsung Galaxy S8 and Note 8, where you have it embedded next to the camera. Speaking of audio, well, the Pixel 2 does have the best audio. It's not as awesome as I thought it would be for stereo front-facing speakers, but it is certainly loud, and it's pleasingly decently full. The Essential phone is quite loud. It's not as full. There's not quite as much bass going on. Obviously, you're not getting stereo. And the OnePlus 5's okay. It's not bad. It's not great either. Neither the OnePlus 5 nor the Essential are waterproof. They can handle splashes, and that's it. The Pixel 2 is IP67 water resistant rated, so it actually can be submerged to shallow depths for up to 30 minutes or so. So for you plumbers and you klutzes, that could be an important factor. All of these support fast charging, but OnePlus requires their own dash charger for that to work. The other 2 use standard Qualcomm quick chargers, which is what comes with any Android phone, kind of mix and match thing, a little bit more convenient there. They all have quite good battery life. Having, relatively speaking, lean Android builds does help with that, and they all have ample capacity batteries. I wouldn't say there's a clear winner here in terms of battery life, in fact. None of them support wireless charging. Oh well. All of these have a notification LED and USB-C ports on the bottom. Our OnePlus 5 pulls through by having a headphone jack, something the other 2 don't. So the other 2 come with a little dongle adapter, so you can plug in headphones to the USB-C port. I know a lot of people still like to have a headphone jack, and I can't blame you, so yeah, good times. When it comes to cameras, the Pixel 2, you've heard enough about that already. It has a really good camera on it. Single lens camera. Essential has a dual lens camera. One does color, one does monochrome shots, which is nice for artsy shots. It's supposed to improve your overall photography too by adding some more information and some more light into a photo. How well does that work? Watch my full review to find out. OnePlus 5 has the highest resolution sensors for its camera at 16 megapixel. It has 2 lenses, and this one uses it for the bokeh, kind of real bokeh actually, because it's combining the data from the 2 lenses to create a blurred background effect, which works so-so. And how did they rank? The Pixel 2 by far has the best camera. It has optical image stabilization, whereas the OnePlus 5 has electronic, which means basically software stabilization, which is better than nothing, which is what the Essential really has, only camera app-based stabilization going on. But the Pixel takes really very sharp, detailed pictures that could fool you into thinking you were using a standalone camera to take those things. Color richness, dynamic range, it's all there for a very good natural looking picture. It doesn't look over sharpened. The OnePlus 5, the camera app has improved over time and the software for it, and it takes pretty decent pictures. Really, it's nice. It may not be up there with the Pixel 2, the Samsung Galaxy S8, even the iPhone 8, but it's pretty darn good. The Essential, even after 4 software updates, a camera app update, and trying just about every camera app on the market, including loading Google's camera application on it, falls behind the other two. Particularly video is very jittery looking because of the lack of any kind of stabilization. Yeah, that hurts. In terms of photos, you know, we're talking, none of these are absolutely hideous anymore. So when you see the comparison pictures of the Pelican, for example, you're going to say, wow, they're not hugely different, are they? And it really depends what you're taking a picture of sometimes, but it gets data. It just doesn't have the same amount of pop and dynamic range and saturation of color sometimes as the other cameras do. So if you're a photography first person, the Pixel 2 should be short on your list there. The OnePlus 5 is decent enough, and the Essential is still a work in progress. But if you're just your average person who says, like, just as long as there's a camera, it's good enough, the Essential is fine. It does take passable photographs for sure, better than passable, just not stupendous like the Pixel. So in the end, why does the Pixel 2 cost so much more? You know, I'm a little bit mystified by that too. When Google decided to go from the Nexus products to the Pixel line, which is supposed to have awe and cachet and be more expensive, maybe to connote that kind of chic high-end thing, like to go up against the iPhones or something like that, they're not throwing a lot of extra really cutting-edge hardware on here. I mean, I would like to see, yes, stereos, front-facing speakers are nice, but I'd still like to see a classier design and a bit more elegant bezels than we have on this Pixel 2 here. IP68, wireless charging, all those sort of things. It would be nice to have in here. Maybe even more RAM than 4 gigs. This is supposed to be the ultimate enthusiast phone for you geeky people who want your clean Android and quick OS updates. And the fact that you still get 4 gigs of RAM when you can get 6 gigs in other phones like OnePlus, even going up to 8, well, I don't know. So really, in the end, when you're buying the Pixel, you're buying it because you trust Google to give you good support and have timely updates, and I'm sure that you will with that. You're buying it for the good, really good camera on here, and yeah, that's pretty much it. If those things are not the paramount important things to you, it's certainly worthwhile to consider the $499 alternatives. So there you have it. The Pixel 2 is the pricey pup in this litter right here. The Essential and the OnePlus 5, obviously, significantly more affordable at $499. With the Pixel 2, you are getting the best camera. You are getting the fastest Android updates as well, and a good quality, reliable build, and a decent OLED display. With the OnePlus 5 here, you're getting a bigger screen. So for those of you who want a more phablety phone, this one would be the one for you. If you want a traditional aspect ratio phone, not a widescreen one, this would be the one for you. And if you like the more RAM that's available with this phone and the big storage capacity that's available for this, selling points. And lastly, we have the Essential phone, which suddenly has gotten a lot hotter thanks to several bug fixes, camera updates to improve the camera, and a significant price reduction to $499 from the original price. For that one, you get the most gorgeous looking phone with a ceramic back titanium sides and that bezel-free design with the futuristic floating little camera in the front, and really a lot of screen real estate for a small pocket space requirement. There you have it. Either way, I mean, you're getting really pretty sweet phones here. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and oops, thumbs up if you like this vid.